If you have a problem and there is no solution, then you don't have a problem either. What you have is reality to be accepted for what it is.
You agreed to this because it's what the people wanted. You give the people what they want.
Oh man, this is crazy. I don't know why I did this. This was a mistake.
I'm so excited, yo. This is great. It's your turn. Like Steph said, it's your turn, man. Like you give grace and space to everybody else. And on a serious tip, like not to get all mushy and everything, but I wanted to give you your flowers just like you give everybody else. Like you give everybody else this opportunity to share themselves and tell their stories and share their views. And it's only right that they hear the same from you.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm nervous.
No, I didn't think you were going to agree to do it when I suggested it. I really didn't. I didn't think we were going to do it. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it. The good thing is that I never do my guests wrong, so I don't expect anybody to, not you, but I would never. But I don't expect anybody in the comments to come in and be like, I'm about to bomb this nigga shit out, you know?
You never know.
You never know. True. That's true.
You never know.
You never know.
But see, here's the good thing. We can decide which questions we notice and answer, right?
Facts.
Answer everything.
I slam turn the comments, so.
Yeah, folks can ask all they want. We always reserve the right not to answer. That's real.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Now, I'm going to stop playing with the comments. And whenever you are ready, we can officially get it. Let me finish waving everybody.
So let me say this, right? Somebody asked, why are you nervous? Stand proud, boss man. So tell everybody what about it makes you nervous, because that is something that would probably shock a lot of people, right? You're on this camera every week, sometimes several times a week, and you never seem nervous on a show. You've performed in front of crowds. You've performed on TV, like in Hollywood. So what about this? What about a little IG interview makes you nervous? It's a great question.
I'm nervous every time I get ready to go live. I'm nervous every time I get ready to go in the booth. I'm nervous every time I get ready to perform. I think it's a part of the process. But this particular time, I'm nervous because I always have the safety blanket of just being like, well, all I got to do is ask the questions. You're
not revealing yourself.
You know, it's a different level. It's different because I have to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that I'm asking good questions at the right time and I'm doing a bunch of stuff. But that's not about me. That's about my performance, right? This is like, oh, see, now I got to really answer the questions. I got to think about how I word this thing.
You got to reveal yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and all of that. Give me 1 second. Let me turn this fan. I'm going to turn the fan off.
Sure thing. So for those who don't know me and are wondering who I am and why I got the honor and pleasure of interviewing Marchello, Chels and I have been friends for quite a few years through the internet and through performance. I'm a poet. He's a rapper. So we kind of have that love of words and performance and creativity in common. I was probably, I know not the first, but I was one of the first guests of this show. And from the minute I did it, I said, oh, we about to flip this. And I've just been waiting, right? I just been patiently waiting. Hey, baby, I've been so patiently waiting and watching. Like I tune in every opportunity I get when this show comes on. Because you said earlier, Marchello, that you were nervous for every show. I assure you, it does not look like it. Oh, like I've never seen you on your show where you appear nervous or seem out of control. Even if a hiccup happens, you're just like, eh. So I was like, every time I watch, I'm like, okay, so he's cool with this. Let's see what he's like when it's his turn to answer all the questions. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it, first of all. Second, I just want to let everybody know that the topic tonight, And if you know Marchello, you know this is the most fitting topic, overall topic, I think, which is the pursuit of peace and happiness. Like, this dude's whole vibe is peace and happiness and spirituality, and he's one of the deepest people I know. So I just wanted to put out there that I'm not really all about very controversial questions or very anything to kind of like stir the pot. Like, that's not my purpose tonight. Maybe on another show we shall see. Because believe it or not, as close as Marchello and I are, we don't agree on a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of things. And it surprised me, I'll be honest with you, because at this point in my life, most of the people I don't agree with, I've cut them out of my life. Because to me, sometimes those differences are fundamental. They're not just differences of opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know Marchello well enough to know that they are indeed just differences of opinion, because the core person that he is about goodness and fairness and spirituality and peace. So, y'all watch them questions tonight, right? We're not going to be disrespectful in the questions. Not that I expect anybody to be, because that's not his vibe, but I'm just putting it. It's the disclaimer. It's the disclaimer for tonight. It's the pursuit of peace, right? So that's where we're going to keep the focus. So I'm going to start off. I don't have a great deal of questions, period. I kind of want it to just be a conversation. I want it to flow. I have some. So I'm going to start it with one, though. So peace is believe it or not, we the people have managed to even make peace controversial, right? Because you got be his peace. You know, if she's not peaceful, then we don't want her. And if he can't make me happy. So tell the people what peace means to you. Like, how do you define peace?
My definition of peace is being in a state of okayness, regardless of the circumstances that are occurring outside of you.
So it's an inner thing for you.
Yeah, there is no peace on the outside.
So it's not, see, this is where I knew this mess was going to get deep. So it's not, so how do you feel? So, okay, do you think it's possible to create peace on the outside, even if it's just for yourself? Like I was saying, I cut out some people because it's just contentious. Do you think that's possible, or am I fooling myself and the peace has to come from within always?
The peace has to come from within. The peace within creates the peace without. So it's not that you can't have peace without, but you can have peace without, right? They can be peaceful. Like, I can go out on my street now and it's peaceful, but if I'm not right in here and I'm not right in here, then I don't experience peace, no matter how great the birds sound chirping, or, you know, the dog sounds barking and the kids are playing. Like, that's all peaceful, good vibes, right? But if I'm not right in here or in my heart, then that peace that's outside, that doesn't really help me. You see what I'm saying? So I look at it like you have to be able to be at peace on the inside, regardless of what's happening outside.
Okay, and Rapier Alpha asked the question, but without differences, how can we as a people grow? I don't necessarily mean that I don't have anybody around me that thinks differently. I mean that there are some differences that to me are fundamental as to who you are as a person. And if I don't jive with who you are as a person, I have no need for you. That's just me. That's my personal thing. I'm at a point in my life where that's about peace for me. Peace for me is not having people around me who want to bring me harm, who want to constantly argue. That's what I mean when I say difference. That doesn't mean that I don't have, everybody in my life is not like me. So I just wanted to be very, very, very clear about that. So let me ask you this. First, do you feel that you found the peace that you seek? Because we said it's the pursuit of peace. Do you feel like you found it? And then if so, what advice would you give to anyone still pursuing it? How did you find it? How does one find peace, inner peace?
I have found it, but it's not a constant, right?
Great answer.
So, and once you find it, it's really cool because you know how to get back in that realm of peacefulness again, right? So, yes, I have found it. It comes and it goes and it ebbs and flows. It's easy to get back to. It's easier to get back to once you know how to do it. The main thing that you have to be willing to do is accept the things that you can't change, right? I have this saying, and I don't know if it makes complete sense, but it makes sense to me, and I say it to my therapist all the time, right? I'm gonna try to get it right. I tell my therapist, I'll be like, I don't believe in problems. Problems don't exist. If there's a problem that exists and there's a solution, then you don't have a problem. You have reality that you have a solution to, right? If you have a problem and there is no solution, then you don't have a problem either. What you have is reality to be accepted for what it is. That's the key to
Okay,
the whole
that's
thing.
deep. Okay, that's deep. That's deep, and it makes sense. I absolutely get what you're saying. It makes sense. What about when you can't find the solution? Is that then not a problem, or are you just saying you just got to work till you find it?
Is the potential of a solution there?
So as long I hear you. So as long as there is the potential for a resolution, it's not a problem. It's just something you haven't done yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that problems exist. Like I'll get off the phone
I
right
hear
now
you.
and call my man and be like, "Yo, I got a problem." You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah. I
But
hear you.
but I think a lot of the times we blow reality when it's not going in our favor out of proportion, right? Like not every problem is really a problem. It's just something that's happening that you have to deal with. And if you already know what the solution is, then let's get to the solution and move on from it so that we no longer have to deal with this problem.
So let me ask you a question. And this is I guess you could say this is personal. Are you a fixer? So here's the reason I asked that. Like, say Lil comes to you, right? And Lil is venting about something, whether it's something that happened to her at work or whatever. Are you that dude that's like, okay, what we gonna do about it? Or do you understand that it's just a vent and sometimes people just need the vent? Or are you a fixer? Like, there are people out there that as soon as they hear something, their mind goes to, okay, how can we fix it?
So, yes, at my core, I am a fixer.
I knew it. That's what she said too.
I have done the self work to catch myself when I'm being a fixer. So I've learned how to listen to what someone is saying, try to get a vibe for if they're seeking help or if they're just seeking an ear. And if I'm still kind of cloudy on what it is that they are looking for, then I'll just ask. I'll be like, do you want my opinion? Do you want a solution? Or did you just want to tell me what you had going on with you? Because I'm here for either. But at my core, I'm a fixer. And most people's problems, in my opinion, they're not that hard to fix. I think most people get caught up in it. And me too. I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying when I get caught up or when we get caught up in our emotions, it's more difficult for us to just be like, well, there's a simple solution to all of this. Whatever that may be, let's just go do it. But I now understand that I understand that people want to dwell within their emotions so that they can feel whatever it is they're feeling. And that's okay. And that's something I had to learn.
So let me ask you, when it comes to the term emotional intelligence, right? There are a lot of people in the world who are not emotionally intelligent, which means they don't know how to manage the emotions that they feel or even identify them, etc. There are some people who and most people when they hear that they think it's the people that live in their emotions, right? They're like, oh my God, they don't. But that the flip side of that is true as well. There are people who think like you, like, well, there's an answer, go get the answer. Like, don't like you're not. I'm not saying you don't, but you sometimes it may come off like people like that are not handling emotion, like they just want emotion out of the way. How do you think that can be resolved? Like for a person like you who's like solution focused, how did you learn, or what advice would you give someone to learn how to deal with other people's emotions and their own emotions as well?
Okay, so there's a very fine line that exists between being emotionally intelligent and burying your emotions so deep that you don't have to deal with.
Absolutely. That's my question.
Right?
Absolutely.
So for a really long time, probably 30 some odd years, I buried. And for a part of that time, I thought that I was like doing it the right way. Like, oh, that doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. But you know, just through reading different books on emotional intelligence and studying for different philosophies, Alan Watts and people like that who talk about the purpose of emotions is to actually feel them, right? And once that light bulb came on, I'm like, hold on, like I don't have to bury my anger. I could just sit back and feel it. And the last time I was really angry, I don't remember what happened, but I told Liv, I was like, I'm mad. I want to be mad. I want to be angry, and I want to feel it. And I kind of knew, like, oh yeah, this is right, because anger is a part of the primordial soup head. So the best advice I could give would be to, instead of burying the emotions, feel them, sit with them. If it hurts, let it hurt. I promise you, it'll stop. If you're happy, don't fight the happiness. I fought happiness before, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I fighting happiness? So don't fight with the emotions. Allow them to be. And if you can become the watcher of the emotions, then it becomes easier for them to work their way through your system.
Okay, so I don't know if this is gonna make you angry. I don't know if you see the comment from your wife. She said she accidentally threw your fish away.
Yeah, so my father's a fisherman and he fishes bass. And I don't know, a year or so ago, he had gave me this big old frozen brick Ziploc bag of bass, and it had been in the freezer for a while. And she threw it away. I was pissed.
Were you planning to, like, it had been in there for a while, but you were planning to eat it,
Yeah, it was
or?
like deep frozen. It was just like
Oh,
having it in the
okay,
freezer. You know
okay,
what I'm saying? And
okay.
I don't know if I was gonna cook it that day, or I just looked around and I was like, hold on,
Where's that?
where's my fish? And I mean, I was mad, I was angry, but I said, you know what? I just want to feel it, and I'm not mad about it anymore. I wish my fish was
We're still in the freezer.
which was in the freezer. And I think the thing about it, that was a logical thing. Even then, my emotions were driven by my logic, because if it were fish that I could run to Giant right quick and get,
Right.
I would have just been like,
It
oh
wouldn't have
man,
been no
don't worry
big deal.
about it. But because I know the energy that it took for that fish to be in my freezer is what had me like, damn, like that man got to go back out there on a boat. You know what I'm saying?
To get me water. And that's why, I'll be completely honest with you. That's why I wanted to do this interview, because I won't, okay, we just gonna keep it real. You get on my nerves sometimes, right? Because you are, well, just do this. Like, it ain't that big of a deal. Like, go buy a fish. Just go get the other. But like sometimes, and I'm seeing it more now than I used to, but I'd be like, does he not ever feel anger or frustration, or, you know what I mean, like stress, because it never showed from you. So it's interesting for me to hear, or I should say pleasant for me to hear that no, you're not that way, because there would be times where I would be like, this dude ain't legit, because ain't nobody always this darn calm. Like, there's gotta be, like, he a serial killer at night or something. So let me ask you this:
Uh-huh.
how would you say that you found how would you say that you found the peace? Like, I know I've heard you mention that you meditate before, and I have a really in-depth question about that a little bit later, for me, a personal question.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your process? You said it's easy to get back to your peace. What's your process?
It's a simple question. Can I change it? I'm dealing with something that I don't like. Can I change it? If I can change it, right, I'm going to do what has to be done for me to be back in the space that I want to be. It's a journey. I may not be able to get back to the great space I was in at 8:35 this morning, but I might be able to get back to the way I was feeling at 8:20, right? And it's just a matter of accepting, like, we don't really control as much as we think we do, right? You and
Yeah.
I having a conversation, we have minimal control over our bodies. I can't stop my eyes from blinking. I can't stop my hair from growing. What I have on the sides and this little bit up here. Like the blood's flowing,
Yeah.
the food's digesting a lot. Like my eyes are seeing a phone, they're interpreting you, the light, and all of that stuff, right? I don't control any of that. And that's a part of me. That's a part of at least what I perceive to be my being. This is my body. This is what God, the light, gave me, right? So if I don't control most of that, then logic would tell me I don't control too much of anything outside of that. So the only thing I really can do is accept what I can't change and change what I can. Now, if you think about it, like on a biblical level, I'll tell you a quick story. I used to always wonder, like, why do God want my money? Like, why? This don't really make sense. Like, this creator of universes and everything. He's like, but by the way, I know I built this big old universe, but I kind of need 10%. And I asked, it was either my father or my grandfather one time. I think it was my dad. And he was like, well, so I told him, I said, well, I don't trust anybody else with God's money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save 10% throughout my life. And when I die, y'all can just bury me with it. And then I'll give God his money.
So when I get there.
Because I can't come up short. And so just through my travels, the way I interpret tithing now is like, let's say we only have 10% conscious control of our being, of everything. And if we are willing to give up that 10% and that's faith, allow God to be in control, then everything will be all good. So when I am in a state of accepting what I can't change, that's my attempt to tithe. That's my way of saying, here's my 10%. I can't do anything. So I don't have to like it, but it is what it is.
Okay, I don't know how you got there. And we're going to have to talk about that later, because that is probably something I struggle greatly with, right? That's something I struggle greatly with, is that accepting things that I don't like. And it does get to be stressful and all that good stuff. So we'll talk about that outside if there isn't anything else that you want to add to that. Let me ask this. One of the things you said that you wanted to talk about was spiritual or emotional survivor's remorse.
Mm-hmm.
Which just those 4 words sound deep as hell to me. So tell me, I know you told me it means, letting go of relationships that no longer serve you.
Right. Right.
So tell me, what's the hardest thing you've had to let go of that got you to that place of realizing that it no longer served you or you needed to let it go?
So me and my best friend had 2 really, really, really extremely bad arguments, maybe you could call them. And I came to the realization that the space that I am in and the space that he's in, they don't mesh well. I was absolutely very disrespectful with the way I got off the phone. I mean, it was bad. And that was when I knew, like, you know what? This is not good for me. Yeah. I said something that I'm an asshole. So I can't say it's not me, but normally I'm in pretty decent control of not saying certain things, right?
Right.
But at this point, he took me to that point, and I realized, like, you know what? That's my man. I love him to death. We've been friends forever. He'll always be my brother. But where I am now, where I want to go, I can't have that energy in my like inner circle, right? So that was probably the hardest thing that's in recent memory. And so I mean, like, I blocked him for a while. Yeah. I ended up texting him on his birthday. So I think it's cool now, but it was just tough. I was like, I can't do that. I can't be that person.
That's what I was going to ask. So as for your process for letting go, do you think it's something you can baby step, like make a plan and get out? Or do you think cold turkey? You need to let it go. You're cold turkey.
I think people should do. I think it depends on the situation. It depends on the
Hmm.
people involved, right? I'm gonna cut you off cold turkey. Don't talk to you. Let it go type of person. I think that I wouldn't advise everyone to be that way. That's what works for me. You know,
Yeah,
I look at negativity. And when I say negativity, I'm not talking about we disagree. I'm talking about just pure negativity as like a disease. And if cancer was a disease that we could simply go in and cut off and be done with it, we would, right? So,
absolutely.
right. So if your negativity or just the negativity in my zone, I have the ability to go in metaphorically and cut that off, why wouldn't I do that? So I think some people, it would be beneficial for them to kind of baby step it out so that they're not as traumatized. But I've known since the age of probably 3 or 4, like I control this being. This is all me. And whatever I feel from the actions that I take, I'm okay with. I can deal with. I'll forgive me. I like me enough to forgive me. So I'll
I
be
like that.
okay.
I like that. 'Cause I'll be honest. I used to be a baby step kind of person, especially in relationships. Right, like relationships would end, and I'd still want to be friends. We can still be friends and check on each other. And I had one really bad breakup where he cold turkey. He was the cause of the breakup, but he was still cold turkey. Like he wouldn't respond. He wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened for me in terms of letting go because I had
Mm-hmm.
no choice. And when I one day I just, and I was like, I don't even miss him. Like I don't. Whereas if I had held on and dragged it out,
Mm-hmm.
I would have. So that's what flipped the switch for me. So now, absolutely, I'm cold turkey. I just think that's the best. That's the advice I would give someone. That's the best way to do it. If it's not for you, you just got to let it go. I don't always do it. It ain't always easy, but
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's the best way to do it. Now, I think that's easy to put in terms of relationships, right? When we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about letting go. What are some things besides relationships do you think that people need to let go of, but probably struggle to do so?
Oh, everyday stress, carrying around a victim mentality. I mean, it'll be basic stuff like somebody will get like a flat tire, and their whole day, their whole life story that day is the flat tire. Man, the tire's fixed, bro. That shit over. It's over, young. I know you have self-identified with this flat tire all day long. But what about all of the good things that happened after the flat tire occurred? Right? So once once the moment is over, take a deep breath, breathe it out. It's gone. We're in a new moment. The default experience of life, for most of us, we try not to speak in absolutes. The default experience for most people is divine. You can see, you can hear, you can feel, you can taste, you can touch, you can walk, you can talk, you can hug, you can have sex, you can play with your kids, you can pet it, you can hear a dog barking. That is a miracle, right? But you didn't hear the dog barking or the birds chirping. You know why? Because you were worried about that flat tire from 4 hours ago.
It already got fixed. Like, and it's
It's
this
done.
is why I love you because I swear you make me think about stuff that I don't think about. Like, and it's funny that you mentioned tire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the type of person I hold on to stuff. I do. I try to let go, but so I had a bad experience once where I got a flat tire, had to pull over on the side of the road, wait for AAA. Took them 4 hours because they couldn't seem to get the thing right.
Mm-hmm.
Had to go to the bathroom. Was extremely upset. Now every time I drive by that spot. I have those feelings of frustration, of anger. I remember the moment. I feel like I felt in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to drive that every day going to work. So imagine every day for, even if it's just for a millisecond, that was in my head, like every day. And it wasn't until I stopped, I don't remember what, I think it was Abraham Hicks, I think, that I was listening to
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, and they mentioned something about that, like you're putting yourself there, you're bringing that stress to yourself because the moment is over. It's been fixed. The universe took care of it. You're not letting it go, and so that's why I was wondering, like, what are some things besides relationships do you think that people need to let go of, but probably struggle to do so? what your process was for letting go of things that are not like a relationship. Like AJ mentioned
Yeah.
a childhood friend. AJ Throwback in the comments mentioned a childhood friend that disrespected him, one of his best friends, and his wife all in the same trip, right?
Oof.
Yeah, I'm surprised the friend's still living because he probably would
Yeah,
have caught it.
that's
But
remarkable.
I'm like, I think something like that kind of makes it a little easier for us to let go
Mm-hmm.
versus the kind of mental let go. So I think that's where I would like your input. Like, what's your suggestion for letting go of the mental and emotional type things, not necessarily relationships?
Well, meditation is something that works really well because what meditation did for me is it taught me how to, it brought me to the realization that my mind is no different than my heart in the sense that it's working, it's doing a job, right? So all of these thoughts that run through my mind, I at one point was unconsciously choosing to attach myself to those thoughts. Meditation makes you realize, like, wow, like this mind thing is just something that kind of exists on its own, right? And I don't have to be carried away by all of its pandering here and there and all about the past and all of these emotions and stuff. I can just be like, yeah, I know that's where you want to take me, but you're not the leader. I'm the leader. You know, when I want you to lead me, I'll let you know. But until then, you can think whatever you want to think and feel whatever you want to feel. I'm the feeler, right? I'm I am the one.
Wow.
This is gonna sound arrogant, right? Like
No, that
the
makes
Matrix,
sense
like
though.
I am the one. You exist because I don't exist because of you. You exist because of me. You come forth from my being. So why would I let you ruin
Control
my
me.
being? When you're gone, I'm still gonna be here. So you might drag me off a little bit. I'm like, damn, that shit pissed me off. Like, oh, why am I tripping?
4 years ago, right?
4 years ago.
No, 4 years ago,
But I
right?
will tell you this. Um, I got into an accident in 2019. I fell asleep while I was at work. Fell asleep behind the police truck. Driving a police truck, ran slam headfirst into a tree, and it was right in Largo. And every time I would drive past that tree, I would get that pit in my stomach. I would get nervous. So the way I got past that was one night. It's like 2, 3 in the morning. I stopped. I got out. I apologized to the tree. I said, "Hey, you won. I apologize. I was wrong. Forgive me." And now I can just drive by there and it's just like, oh, I'm good now.
Don't think anything of
I
it.
had to make peace with it.
Okay, so meditation is something I've dabbled in,
Mm-hmm.
bits and pieces. Sometimes it's a easy thing, sometimes it's very difficult. I'm one of those people that the thoughts will come in, and instead of me just watching them go by as a third party,
Mm-hmm.
I get caught up in them and I latch onto them. Then the
Yeah.
next thing I know, my mind is somewhere else. So, talk about how you got into meditation, how long you've been doing it. Just talk a little bit about that.
So I started in about 2010.
What started you? What made you start?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I was ready, or at least I thought I was ready to be a husband.
Okay.
My now wife, girlfriend at the time, wasn't. So that was very painful and confusing for me. I was like, okay, so if I am not on the path that society has laid out for me, which is to, I didn't graduate college, but go to school, get a good job, get married, and have kids. And that's where I've been planning all the way up until this moment. And that moment is not mine for right now. What am I going to do here? What am I doing here? And then the question of all questions popped into my mind. Who am I? Right? Who am I? And the answer was, I don't know. And that led me to begin to Google, search, and research the philosophy of understanding, like, who is the person using the eyes? Who is the person using the ears? Who is this invisible being, entity that I call Marchello. So that led me to different books that suggested meditation, different forms of meditation. Like you said, I got a meditation. It was a CD, but I got it on my phone now by Abraham Hicks. And it's like 15 minutes, guided well-being. And she'll tell you, it'll be this nice, peaceful music. She'll tell you, breathe in and you breathe out. And you get real calm. And you just realize that, you know, life is just a passing of events. And we are blessed enough in the eyes of the divine to witness a very small part of the infinite.
So, Marchello, like I said in the beginning, you are one of the deepest people I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think we've ever had a conversation where I didn't walk away thinking, the hell? What? And even had to come back and like ask you questions, right? So, where do you think that comes from? Like, are other people in your family that way, or are you the oddball? Because I'm the oddball in mine that thinks like that.
So I think I'm the eyeball. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think that, and I haven't posted my interview with Camille because I'm not ready to post it, right?
We're gonna talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
But my oneness with the light, I think, is what makes me be like, you know what? Like, I have a glimpse of what's behind, above, around all of this. So I'm willing to get caught up in this play that we're doing here. You know, it's cool. And I'll forget sometimes. But deep in my spirit, I know, like, this is just a play.
Don't catch me. Don't forget me. Because that's honestly what it did not register to me that you hadn't posted that one yet. Because that's my favorite. Not only because I love Camille to the ends of the earth, but because of the connection between the two of you in that interview, right? And it was in that interview, and I told you that I wanted to ask you something specific about meditation. It came from that particular interview. So thank you, universe. So you mentioned in that interview that you often meditate with child Marchello. With I need that. Like, that's something I know I need to do. I need to connect because that's where some of my trauma and anxiety and all of that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that childhood Mimi is not okay. Mm-hmm. So what method, is that something that you did purposely? What was your method? Give me some insight into that.
Ooh, so I don't even remember how I exactly started it. I know that a lot of books on emotional intelligence will tell you about the inner child, and a lot of our
Okay, I can see you and hear you now. It slowed up for a minute, but I can see you now.
Yeah, so there's a tornado warning. So
okay.
I'm like, come on, man, I'm on live. I died.
Don't nobody care about no tornado. That can wait.
Come on now. Where was I at?
You were telling me that the books were talking about getting in touch with your inner child, and that's kind of where we lost you.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of the books, they explain how a lot of our responses to present day events are actually our inner child.
Absolutely.
The inner child is kind of like a subconscious aspect of us. It's the unformed. That's why kids are so like, wow, you know, and it's okay. It's cool because that's what we expect from them. Society tells us that we can't be that way, right? So I don't remember how I got started, but the way I do it is I'll lay down. I don't typically use music when I do the inner child meditation. And I will picture me now sitting at a round table in my elementary school. So when I was like in first grade, they thought I was on the spectrum. That's not the term they used back then. So I had to leave out of the regular class and go out into the hallway with the other kids that they thought were on the spectrum, right? And for some reason, when I do my inner child meditations, that's where the little me is. Now, they had me in there because I wouldn't talk. I would only talk to like my mom, my dad, my sister. If I didn't know you, I wasn't talking to you. Yeah. So now I'll sit down with little me. I just talk to me. Hey, yo, how you feeling? and and I allow my subconscious mind to have this interaction with my conscious mind, and my inner child will be like, had a bad day, had a good day, kind of worried about this. And I'll just tell me like, hey, listen, like, you realize I'm you from the future. I
You're
promise
gonna
you
be okay.
everything's okay. So that's not to say everything's going to happen the way you want it to. But by the time you get to where I am, you're going to be coming back to visit you. And it's like this infinite loop of me helping me get to where I am now. What I'm trying to figure out, though, is how do I get future me to come holler at me?
You right. That's
That's
what
the
I was thinking.
question.
Like, yeah, 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 yeah. So I don't know if you've seen the movie The Atom Project. Have you seen that?
Nah.
It's on Netflix. It's similar to what you're saying now, but
Okay.
it's where young Adam actually helps future Adam with something
Mm.
major. So if you get a chance to check it out, it's a pretty good movie. It's called The Atom Project.
I'm going to look it up.
I thought of it. I thought of it. It's a little. It's Ryan Reynolds, I think his name is. So there's some comedy in it, a little
That's
bit
my
of
guy.
yeah, but it's really really good. It took me by surprise. So what? And I'm not trying to make this about me, but I need your input on it. So with me, when I think back to little me, when my grandmother raised me, and she had like these cement bricks leading from her back porch that we used to play hopscotch on.
Mm-hmm.
So I always see little me, who is Mookie, by the way. Nobody called me Mimi until I was well into adulthood. I've always been Mookie. So I see little Mookie playing hopscotch in the backyard, laughing really loud,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes. I can't hold on to it. So I need you to ponder that,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll talk offline about what that might mean and what I need to do to talk to her to settle there.
Is she in
So
a good
okay,
space or a bad space? She
she's
happy?
happy. She's happy. She is thrilled. She's thrilled, and I think that's the only place where she ever really felt thrilled. So
Hmm.
we'll talk about it because it's not
Okay.
about me. Okay, so next question, because I want to ask you some things. I know we're coming up on the hour, and I don't know if we're going to connect again or not, but I got some random questions too,
Okay.
just some really random stuff. Now, for those who don't know, which if they've ever been on your show, they should know, you're a police officer. You're a rapper. I know you don't do music as much as you used to, but you're a rapper. You're a creative.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could have any career, what would it be? Whether it's one of those, whether it's nothing, whether what would it be?
Well, my first love in terms of like it's not really a job, but my first love in terms of things that I love to do would be basketball. Um,
Hmm.
it would have been really cool to make it to the NBA. As as I've gotten older and I realized who I am as a person, I don't particularly think I would have enjoyed the NBA lifestyle. I don't
Gotcha.
really like. I like going. I like being in different places. I don't like traveling to different places. I don't like the process of getting on a plane or getting on a train or sitting in a car for hours on end. But just the pure love of the game, basketball would be pretty cool. Now, where I'm at is I would like to make enough passive income to wake up and be like, I can do whatever it is I want to do today. If I want to go to the beach, I can go to the beach. If I want to go to the snow-capped mountains, I can go to the snow-capped mountains. I just want to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do in the present moment.
Yeah, I think it was, and I don't quote me on who it was, but in my mind I want to say Eartha Kitt that says, "I do not dream of labor." Like, don't ask me what my dream
Right,
job is because I don't dream of labor.
right,
Like,
right,
I don't have a dream job. I have a dream circumstance, maybe,
right,
but not a dream job.
right.
So I know we've talked a bit about alternate realities and parallel universes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you could choose a parallel universe in which, very hypothetical situation, in which there is no wife or children, what do you think Marcello's life would look like?
Hmm. So I'm gonna take a parallel universe, no wife or children. What would I be doing?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably be like Eminem level rap god. You know what I'm saying?
You should be that now. I'm just saying, people don't know what. Yeah, I don't know if people are fully aware. Those of you watching, I don't know if you're fully aware of Marcello's music. You need to be. That's all I can say. Like, you need to be. Like, I still listen to your music like 3, 4 times a week,
Really?
every week. Yes, and especially in the gym. Especially in the gym. I've said this before. Number one contender is my shit. And I will be in the gym and I will be struggling, right? And I'll think, number one contender. And I'll put number one contender on and go another hour, go another 30 minutes, go finish whatever or go harder. Like I tell you all that song moves me. So let me ask you about your music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider yourself like a conscious rapper?
I don't like the term conscious rapper. However, I am very accepting of reality, and a lot of rap is unconscious. So,
Right.
because we live in a world of duality, if I have to acknowledge that there is hip hop that is unconscious based on what I make, by default, that makes it conscious. I'm consciously aware of enough going on around me to be considered a conscious MC, rapper, artist, or whatever you label you want to put. You could say awaken, you could say woke, aware. It's all the same thing with a different label. I talk about shit that matters. That's basically
See, and I'm gonna
what
tell
it
you the
means.
reason I asked that. I have a lot of my questions tonight are from a personal place.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I try to tell people about your music and I try to guide them to listen to it, I don't know. All I can say is it's different. That's what I
Yeah.
always say. It's different. It's not, don't go to it expecting to hear the norm. It doesn't even, to me, it's higher level consciousness. Like, it's not what I consider conscious rap,
Right.
what people consider conscious rap. It's even higher. So I don't know how to describe it sometimes, and I'll just say, look, you just gotta trust me.
I
You
think
just gotta trust me.
so. This is kind of like my way of looking at it. There, it's lyrical philosophy. You know what I'm saying? It's me being willing to know that I have my own personal views and metaphorically elevate my mind to a point where I can see all of this that's going on down here, right? Like, oh, they over here, they doing this, and they over here, and they doing that. And I'm right there, and I'm kind of have my opinions. I'm a little over here, a little over there. But a lot of my music is me telling you, like, I don't have necessarily the answers. What I have is
Right.
legit questions to make you.
And you encourage us to seek the answers.
Yeah.
That's what I love. And so, yeah, that's all. Just going to answer the question. Somebody asked where they can buy your music, and I know I have it on Amazon. I know I got it from Google Play. I'm pretty sure it's on all streaming platforms. Right? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah. If you're on Amazon, I know for certain that's where I get most of it because I have Amazon to stream, but it's everywhere. And I would just recommend some of it. Like, this man is in rap talking about time theory, yo. Like, about how time is not a real concept. Like, that's not something you hear rappers doing. So it makes me think, and that's what I think a lot of music is missing. So I do love that. So that brings me to my big question.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the music, Marchello?
Well, my man DJ Shane got an album dropping soon. I got 2 verses on that.
Okay.
Right? So I won't steal his thunder, but I am on his album. I am willing to make another album. I gotta have a team to do it with. I gotta have the.
So I see AJ in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I know you talk about DJ Shane in the comments all the time. What else you need? What other team? We got to get it together because it's time, bro.
they're enough. You know what I'm saying? Them two with maybe one or two other pieces that I could definitely link with and make it. But I also gotta have the time and space
I get that.
to do so, right? I got a lot going on, so I would have to carve out and be like, okay, this is a writing week. I'm about to write 3 songs this week, 3 or 4 songs this week. So it's a matter of me actually scheduling it into my life. And I mean, it would be a good thing because music for me is like a form of therapy. It helps me to take all of this craziness that's percolating, you know what I'm saying, and put it in some structure so that I can be like, oh yeah, that does make sense. That is what I feel. That is what I think. That is my perspective. Because a lot of my writing is me debating myself. Do I really believe this? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I could do it maybe within the next year or two. I might
Let's
come
make
up
it
with
a year.
something.
Let's go with the year. Let's go with the year. Don't make us wait till like 2 years. And I want to apologize to the people who are leaving comments that I'm not reading. We talked about this, but just so you know, you're getting a lot of love in the comments, not only about your music, but about your philosophy, the way you think. All of that
I love
is
y'all.
people are hearing it and acknowledging it. So I thank you guys very much for even tuning in, because if anybody deserves their flowers while they're breathing, it's the man that's always giving everybody else theirs all the time. So
Thank you.
we're glad. Now, you know, we've got 5 minutes left unless you want to come back, and I'm down with that. But we're going to do your top 5 typical. And then I have a second top 5 that I want the answer to. So the first one is, of course, living or dead, real or fictional. Who would you like to sit down and have a conversation with?
Okay, so because I'm always the one who asks, I knew this was coming.
And I'm only asking it because people expect it.
Yeah, I know. But to be fair, I didn't round out my 5 until
Okay.
5 minutes before we started.
Okay.
Okay. So one is Booker T. Washington. I read Booker T's autobiography,
Okay.
right?
What
And
about
I was
Booker
just,
T?
huh?
What about Booker T?
I was impressed. Booker T was like born a slave,
Mm-hmm.
right? And ended up free. So he lives on that timeline that we are still contending with. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He's the example that I know and I read, and I was like, wow, like this dude was born a slave. And when you read like the first chapter of his autobiography, he's like, yeah, I slept on the ground, bro. Like the ground. And he does all of these things, and he builds a college, and he's getting funding. And I know a lot of people don't rock with him. They call him Uncle Tom and stuff like that. But to me, he used the resources he had available to him at the time, transcending race, being like, look, yo, this white dude, he rock with me. He just, he let me stay at his crib. All right, we good. I got an end game. I ain't worried about what he think about me for right now. I got an end game. And he saw his end game all the way through. So living in a world now where everything is so, I don't know what the word is. Is it contentious?
Contentious.
Right?
Yes, that's absolutely the word. Yes.
That's how I see it. I'm like, yeah, people are like, you don't care about all the racism? You don't care about the black on black crime? You don't care? Like, cuz I gotta focus. That's peripheral. I'm trying to get from here to there. And though all of that exists, me going that way is not going to take
Doesn't
me
take me
that
good.
way. So I admire that about him. That's why he's, he pushed through.
Okay. Okay.
Um, who? Let me see. Who else did I have? Oh, my 2 dogs that passed away, Rocket and Slim.
That is a great answer.
Yeah. It's like if they could talk, because Rocket
That
died of
is a
cancer.
great
That was my
answer.
man, and Rocket was one of the. I'm about to say one of the people. Rocket was one of the beings that was trying to teach me acceptance. Me and Rocket did not get along until I accepted that he was who he was, and I had to
How
let.
old were you when you had Rocket? Is this a childhood pet or
No,
as an adult?
no, I had Rocket recently.
Okay. Okay.
I had
Okay.
Rocket. Man, I remember one day Rocket pissed me off so bad. You know how the dogs got the little fat right here? It was me and him in my apartment. And I don't remember what he did, but I grabbed Rocket by that fat. And I'm not the type, I don't put no dog, put no lick in my face. When I tell you I put my nose on that dog nose, I said, listen, you will disappear and no one will know. And it was in that moment that I realized Rocket's better than I am.
Why am I crying, yo? Like, first of all, you talk about Rocket like he's a human. Like, you do that. You do that. And I love it. So, okay. Rocket, what was the other one's name?
The other one name was Slim. Slim.
Okay.
Slim got hit by a box truck
Ooh.
right in front of me and my best friend, broke his back.
Oh. Yeah,
So,
that's horrible.
I didn't get I got a proper goodbye with Rocket. With Slim, he
was gone.
He was gone.
There and then gone. Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so the dogs. Okay, next one.
Kobe Bryant.
I knew that was coming. I expected that one.
Right? And it's not because I was a Kobe fan. Right? But I feel like I owe Kobe an apology.
Really?
Genuinely.
That's interesting.
Genuinely, I feel like I owe Kobe an apology because I didn't appreciate Kobe while he was here.
Gotcha.
I did begin to appreciate him. And then he died. And I'm just like, shoot. And I felt like I don't know, I'm about to talk like Kobe, my friend, but I felt like our relationship was going to blossom once he was done playing basketball, you know?
I got you.
So
I got you.
That's three, right?
That's three.
That's three. Adam or in Atom, whoever the first guy was.
Right.
I just want to be like, yo, this is crazy as shit, ain't it? Yeah, like, what is it like? What was it like for you? You know,
right.
And lastly, I want to have a conversation where I am me now. I am the fully God version of me, the fully expressed version of whatever, the best me I can be, right? And the worst me I could be. And I want us all to sit down. And I know I'd be in the middle, like, he's a goody two shoes.
What is with this dude?
You are out of control. Like way out of pocket. But it would just be cool. And so, I mean, I kind of struggled because I was like, is it me, and me? Or is it God, me, and the devil? But, you know, it's the same thing, though. It's all, I want to
versions of,
Yeah, it's all versions. It's all the duality. So it's really, I want to sit down with God, me, and the devil and be like, so what's up? So this is what we're doing here.
Good books. And I missed this comment earlier. I mean, I didn't miss it, but I forgot to mention it. Honey Wordsmith said, Lyrical Philosophy is a great title for a book. And, you know, we've been talking about you and a book on this show and just in general. So Lyrical Philosophy, she said, write that down. And I agree. That's a great title.
Maybe I'll name the next album that.
Or that. I'll take that.
Let me put it.
Is the book on the table, Marchello?
So the book is on the table, and I started writing it, but I'm not sure how I want to do it. But I'm also coming up with an online course that I think will be really helpful too. So I'm trying to I have to figure out how to take all of these brilliant ideas and manifest them.
I got you. Now, yes, and I forgot to mention at the start of the show, and I meant to because I saw your announcement today that these podcasts are now going to be available on all of the platforms. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody who may be new to the show or who may have episodes they may not have seen or who may have been on the show and want to see their own episode or share it with friends or who just think the show is amazing like I do. For anybody new to the show, I've seen some of my friends pop in and out that probably don't know you. This show Marchello started just came from the idea that he finds people interesting. And I remember we were having a conversation one time and he was like, I wonder what would it be like to just talk to everyday people. And then What's Up With You was born. Like a fabulous idea because we are so wrapped up in our society and what celebrities do and and they're the only difference between most celebrities and most people is the platform. the fact that somebody's giving them the opportunity to share what they have. So the fact that you do that, I think, is amazing. So, you know, if you're watching, please be sure to share the podcast. Be sure to share this Instagram with the people around you. If you're not following him and you're following me, follow him. If you're following him and you're not following me, follow me. See, I listen. I watch your show. I pay attention.
I'm about to steal that.
I pay attention.
I know how to snatch the audio too. Like, oh, what?
We paying attention. I try to catch it every chance I can get. I've even like foregone the gym, which, you know, for me to skip the gym to catch a show is that show got to be dope. So I love it. I love what you're doing. But here's my top 5 question, and I'm wondering if you even have one, let alone 5, right?
Okay.
Who is someone that you would not sit down and have a conversation with, have no interest in having a conversation with, real, fictional, alive, or dead? Is there anyone?
Oh, not that I could think of.
See, I knew you were going to say that. Like, there's nobody that you would just be like, I don't want to talk to that. Nobody?
Nah, I mean, there are people who I wouldn't talk to in a public forum, right? There are people I would have conversations with offline about certain things, but I am so interested in people, and I'm not so caught up in liking you that I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that I wouldn't talk to. So if I'm willing to sit down and chop it up with the devil, knowing that we safe here.
But that's my thing, though, is like, I get that for whatever reason. And I think it's because with the devil and the God thing, like, it's all versions of one, right? I get that. So I think that would make it, I get the interest in that. But like, I can honestly say that there are people that if somebody said to me, unless they're going to pay me, right? If someone said, oh, well, you can sit down and have a conversation with Donald Trump. Nah, I'm good. I don't, there's nothing I want to know from that man. There's nothing I want to say to, he's just one of several though. There are others, like, I don't care. I don't really want to hear what you have to say. I don't really want you to have a platform to say it. Although I'm all for, you know, people can say what they want, they can feel what they want. Like, I don't want to hear it. So I wondered, because I know you, and I was like, he ain't gonna have 5, right? He might have 2, but you ain't even got one. Nobody you can think of.
I can tell you the ones that are running through my mind, right? But like Hitler, right?
That was one of the other ones that I thought of, right?
Now, I won't talk to Hitler though.
I know, and you've said that, which is why I thought this question, like, well, then who would he not want to talk to?
I want to talk to Hitler. I want to talk to, like, the people that are running through my mind that I'm like, I know it wouldn't be that fun-loving of a conversation would be like Hitler, or like the first slave masters in my bloodline. You know what I'm saying? That brought my people, or even wherever we came from in Africa, whoever was willing to allow us to be sold or captured, or however that goes. You know what I'm saying? I care more about the information and the answers and the knowledge than I do about it. Straight up, like, I ain't gotta like you. We're not like they used to tell us in class, like, yo, we're not drinking buddies.
Yeah, I ain't there yet. I'm trying to get there, Marchello. I will say, you make me want to be that person. But I ain't there yet, yo. Like, I'm trying.
This the thing. So, I look at it like, this may be a bad way of explaining it. I look at it like warfare. I look at it like psychological warfare.
I get that.
And keep your enemies close. If I can get an enemy to give me information, that's beneficial for me. Now, whether or not I'm going to use it, whatever. But there are things that evil people have that I can use and transmute and make it beneficial for me.
Yeah, us. Like, I get the logic. I do. I honestly, I absolutely get the logic. But I guess it's just that the fire in me, it's just like, I would slap the shit. I mean, you know, you put me in a
So,
room with some people and I'm gonna slap the dog snot out of them, yo. That's what.
so let me throw this out there. What time is it? Okay, we
It's
got.
8. Oh yeah, 8:10.
So when you do shadow work, you ever done shadow work?
I'm working on that's another thing. I'm in the process of it, but it's a new journey for me.
Okay, so when you do shadow work and you genuinely come to accept that you are not too far removed from the people
From
that
the
you
next person, right?
understand and hate,
Right.
that's when you realize that those people that you despise have something to offer you.
It's something, and I've done enough to know that most of what we don't like in other people has more to do with us than it does with them.
Right.
I get like it's one of those things, Chels, honestly, where my mind and my heart just ain't married on the subject yet. Like in my head, I know all of what you're saying is true. I absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart knows that if I'm ever in a room with someone and it's just me and them, we probably don't come to blows, yo. That's just, which is why I said in the very beginning, made it I've made a very conscious choice to curate my space, right?
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that the crap that, especially in a world of social media where everybody's opinions is in your face. Like
Right.
everybody's opinions are in your face,
Right.
whether you ask for the opinions or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made it. I had to, for my own peace. I had to curate a space where I don't have to read things that I don't want to read, or I don't want to see, or I don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that I don't have friendships. Prime example, you, with people that I don't agree with on certain things.
Right.
But for my day-to-day sanity, I'm just not interested because my mind and my heart are not married on that subject. Like in my head, all day is me. You can't just go around slapping people. But in my heart, I just be wanting to slap the shit out of people. So some people. So but I'll be honest, I'm not proud of that. You know what I mean? That's something I'm working on. And you are one of the people that inspires me. You and Kaimale, for real. Like that's why I love Kai so much. Y'all make me want to be the better Mimi.
Oh.
And I think I'm a pretty good Mimi thus far compared to the Mimi I used to be. Y'all don't know Mimi like think you do. But you inspire me to want to be the better person. So that's why I always that's why I was asking that question. So let's talk about shadow work real quick because
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people probably don't even know what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what got you there?
Give me 1 second. I'm writing down my question for you because I don't want to forget it. So y'all just give me 1
Okay.
second. All I got to write down is a couple words, and I'll be in there. What got me started on shadow work?
Mm-hmm.
So the first book that I read on shadow work was called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And I
I'm
never
typing
really
it.
know what exactly prompts me on these different tangents or paths. I just simply trust the paths. I trust that everything that is sustaining this whole universe, whatever we're calling it, if I can silence my mind, it'll tell me which way to go. So I've read The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, and it just opened me up to the realization that, like I said, we aren't different than the people that we hate. Our opinions may differ, right? Our stances on a particular issue may differ, but the underlying foundation under or behind all of that, most of the time it's not that different. So if you were to use something, let's use in America, so let's say you have white extremists and then you have black extremists. If there were a spectrum of extremism, right, most of us are somewhere up here in the middle, off to the left, off to the right. I think the corporate tax should be 25, you think it should be 35, right? But if you think about it as like a circle, the two extremes are closer than what they
They need
realize. They just hate each
right,
other. Meanwhile, the rest of us are
right.
kind of like y'all do realize that y'all
They're
are
not much
pretty much
different.
the same, and we don't like
Yep.
either one of y'all that much.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. That's and see and real talk. I'm gonna keep it real. That's one of the reasons, despite us having political differences, which I refuse to discuss publicly,
Mm-hmm.
but despite us having political differences, I think that's why I don't like cut you out like I did most others,
Mm-hmm.
is because at the end of the day, I think we both realize ain't neither one of them worth a damn. You know what I mean? And neither side, neither party, neither interest is truly worth a damn. Fundamentally, the small stuff we disagree about, but
Right.
nobody really has your best interest at heart but you and the people who love you. So,
None of them do that. It's all the
yeah,
power. It's all the power game in that. Right now, I think we're at a point where it's beneficial for you to figure out what your core values are.
values
What
are.
are your
Yeah,
core
absolutely.
values? And then if it's beneficial for you and your family, you vote with your core values. If it's not beneficial for you and your family because of whoever's running or whatever other things you got going on, then you vote the other way. Or you don't vote at all. I personally don't care.
Right,
But
right, me neither.
I had to figure out what are my core values. If I were at the extremes, like if I'm forced to pick between extremes, which extreme would I rather have? So I'll give you an example, and I don't know if people are gonna like it or not. But if the choice is between none of us having weapons or us having whatever weapons we want, I'm going to be on the side of having whatever weapons we want because I don't trust everyone else enough to believe that they're going to give up their weapons. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And so because of that extreme, I'm like, well, I'm kind of in the middle on this thing, but I don't want to be caught without my strap. So if it's a choice between not having
No
one and
guns
having
or
one, hey, dog, I'm going to show up with an F-16.
because, like we say, it's the criminal. The criminals don't care about the law.
They
So
don't.
if there are guns out there to be had, they're going to have the guns. So we want to protect that. I hear that. I definitely hear that. I understand that.
So,
Yeah.
but I'm
Okay.
trying to
Very,
think of
very
somebody
interesting.
for you. I'm trying to think of somebody that I'll just be like, nope, but nah, I'll sit down with anybody.
See, I find that admirable. I'm gonna get there. I plan to get there, but I ain't there yet. There
It'll
yet.
happen.
Yeah, I hope it does. I hope it does. I'm working on it. It's definitely something I'm working on. Now, this question, I don't know. I don't even know if it's a question so much. It's just another chance to give you some flowers. But like, I just need you to understand that a lot of what I do and who I am is because of you. You may not know that. The running, man, that's a major one for me. The running, like just seeing that you were doing it and then knowing that I could reach out to you at any moment with a question and you would stop what you were doing to answer that question. You would shoot me YouTube videos on how to breathe and give
Mm-hmm.
me tips. Like, I don't know if you realize how much you do that for others, for because if you do it for me and you barely know me, I can only imagine, like, Marchello and I have only met once at a
Mm-hmm.
poetry event, and I don't even know how much we said to each other that night, other than, hey,
Right.
that kind of
Right.
thing. So I can only imagine how much you do it for others. So let me ask you this question, and if this has to be the close, then it can, because I know we're running over. But what is something that you need or want in life that from others, maybe, I don't know whether it is, more nurturing, whatever, that you aren't getting, or that you feel like you aren't, that you need and maybe you aren't getting, if anything?
Mm. Something that I'm not getting from others.
Like, how some people say, what made me think of it was like, you have people that'll be like, I'm there for everybody else, but nobody's there for me. Or,
Mm.
I can do this for others. And is there anything in your life that you wish people showed up more for?
I think I'm good. To be honest,
A great answer.
I am very appreciative of the things that I have, the people that I have. There's always a desire for more. So I'm not telling you like, oh, I wish I wish this number right here was 7.4 billion. However many people there are on the planet, I
Right.
want them right there, right?
Yeah.
But that 9, I appreciate y'all. I love
Yep.
y'all. And that's good for me. right? Um, Nothing, man. I'm happy to be alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look back at my life. I could have died in the car accident, right? When I was a baby, when I was about 2, they almost killed me with
Yeah,
amoxicillin.
I remember that. I remember you
So,
talking about that.
so whenever I get into this state of I wish I had that which I didn't, there's a deeper, more larger part of me that's like, yo, like we good, bro. Like I, one of the things me and my man argued about, I said, cuz I don't care how a racist is America is. I'm a black dude from PG County with a high
Mm.
school diploma, and I have 2 houses. Most people don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I to spend time being sad about that which I don't have when I'm so fulfilled with all the things that I do?
I
So
love that. And I don't even know how to put it into words, but I think that the question I had at the beginning
I got an
is,
answer for you too when you're ready,
oh, okay. No, give it to me now. I know I'll
because
keep my question.
I don't want to lose it.
Right.
The one thing that I really appreciate people when people come to me is I genuinely like when people come to me with open-ended, thought-provoking questions that challenge my way of thinking. I love to be I love for somebody to say something and I just be like, what?
Which is what you do to me. So
Hold
yeah,
fast.
I get it.
What? Hold on, I gotta think about this. And sometimes it happens and I'm like, I'm gonna come back to you, you know. And so I like to be I like to be challenged um psychologically or like philosophically, and I like to be challenged emotionally. I like for people to sometimes I sometimes people are good at knowing that I'm an asshole or that I can have I'm good at taking a complex group of thoughts and breaking it down into some really
Yeah,
simple thing,
yeah.
right? But I like for people to still come to me with those things, you know what I'm saying? And just be like, you know, let's dig into it. Challenge me. Prove to me that I'm wrong. Because I thought
Right.
about this. Because if you can prove to me that my way of thinking is wrong, then I get better.
Very true. Now, I will be honest to say I've never seen the asshole in you. You could be a smart, you could be sarcastic.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, that's what you mean.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I mean.
not, I got you. Yeah. But even in that, I don't think I've seen it at the level that would make me be like, you're such an ass. Like, I haven't seen that.
I mean, I will
Yeah,
save your life and be sarcastic. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, you know,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, something crazy. You're stuck in an elevator. I pull you up, be like, "Dang, I told you not to hang out in elevators. That shit sucked, don't it?" You know, you hungry? Ain't
I
you?
got
You
you.
was in there for a long time.
So my question at the beginning, or my statement question, whatever, I asked you what peace was to you
Mm-hmm.
and how you define it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this is just my wrap up thought, call me Jerry Springer, final moment, final thought, whatever. I think you define it. Like watching this interview, right? All day, Chels, I've been anxious all day because
Mm-hmm.
I've not done this before. I didn't want to mess up your show. The minute you came on and start like peace, you exude it. You are peaceful. And so I think you are the definition of it. You said that you found it. I think that's obvious. I hope that everybody watching sees it, feels it, and if they don't have it, want it as badly as I do, because I'm not there yet. I'm getting there. I'm working on it daily. Um, but yeah, the pursuit of peace and happiness is what this was about. That was your overall topic, the pursuit of peace and happiness. And I think one of the ways that people can find that peace and that happiness is to make that damn number more than 10. And I don't say that as like a plug to like get people to, you know, to watch, although I think they should. I think it really helps people.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they get to hear all these different views. Like you've had guests on this that I just be wanting to throw stuff at my phone, and I'd be like, what? But it allows me to hear different views, and you have this part of it. The first one I heard, you were like, okay, I'm gonna ask you something, you give your answer, and that's it. Can't nobody comment, and I'm just like, oh, I wanna, but it's good for people. I think it's good for people to not only hear the different viewpoints that are out there and just hear people's stories. I think it's good for them to be able to share their own. Like you did a show one time where the sister came on at the end. She wasn't a guest, but she came on talking about letting go and her relationship and how she was struggling to let go of her side piece. You remember that?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
she
yeah,
just kind of
yeah,
hopped
yeah.
on at the end. Like, and she didn't even realize how much she needed to talk about that until she talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what people need to understand about this show, if they don't already, is that you will talk to anybody, which is why I asked that question, by the way, because I kind of figured your answer was going to be, no, I'll talk to anybody, because you talk to anybody. So if you're out there and you need to share your story, or you just want to, or you just, some viewpoints you want to share, like, what better way to do it than this, than to sit down with somebody who has a genuine, honest interest in just hearing what you have to say. Like, that's it. Just hearing what you have to say. So I'm hoping that what people will take from this is that you are who you say you are. You are who you show you are. And you are the kind of person that should have the following. Not just for the numbers, but because it will make a difference in people's lives. That's important. And I think you do that. So of course, we always give the close, the final thing to you. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted to speak on, or anything that you wanted to share?
I think you did an absolutely wonderful job.
Thank you.
If I'm ever not up to hosting, you are more than welcome to be my guest host.
I would love to. I would.
I uploaded all of my previous shows to the podcast outlet. So if you want to catch it on the podcast, they're there. If you want it on YouTube, they're there. And I absolutely appreciate you being willing to be my host. It's been fun.
It's been fun, and the anxiety was for nothing. Like I spent all day an emotional wreck for no reason. So I should have known that though, because I'm very much like you when you mentioned earlier about the nerves. Mm-hmm. Before everything, I always say that if I'm not nervous, that's when I should worry, right? Because then I don't care. So I want you to know how much I cared, that I was a nervous wreck all day, and that I'm glad it came out the way that it did. I want to come back on as a guest one day soon, because is some stuff we didn't talk about, like relationships and all that good stuff, because that's the stuff I be wanting to throw things at my phone about. when some of your guests be on here, like, you know me. So I look forward to that, but it has been a blast, and I think that this is something you should do again, periodically. I think periodically the tables need to be turned. The host doesn't have to be me. I'm willing, but I think that the tables need to be turned so that your views are shared more often as well.
We could make that happen. I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how to word it, but if we'll use Trump for an example. Mm-hmm. Trump came to you. He calls you, Melissa, I have this great idea for my African American friends, right?
For the blacks.
He calls you, and he's genuine. He's like, listen, like, I know what you think about me. I genuinely want to sit down with you and discuss how we could improve life for Black people in America, whether that's through some form of reparations, laws being passed, whatever the case may be. And you knew that he was good for it. Would you talk to him?
I would talk to him, but not alone. I don't trust him. Oh. So I would want someone else in the room that would, I guess you could say, be witness or hold witness to the conversation and make sure that I don't slap it out of him. because I have a temper. Like I really do. I have a pretty bad temper. So I would like, and that's honestly that's what I was gonna say. My question would be, can I bring chills?
Yeah,
Like I would bring if I could bring someone with me, but like if I don't trust you, I'm not gonna believe much that you say, especially when I've seen you make such promises only to benefit yourself in
right,
the end. So I would have very little interest in such a conversation with him because I don't trust it. Right.
right.
And I hear you when you say you know he's good for it, but I have nothing that shows me he's good for it. Maybe if there was a history of me being able to see where he's good for it, you know, then and good for it in a way that's not just about him, because
Right.
that's usually what it's about. So then I would have very little interest in that conversation. I'm trying to be like Chels, you know, that hashtag be like. I'm trying to be like Chels. I would have the conversation. You know what I'm saying? I would try to have the conversation, but I wouldn't trust it. And I think that's my issue. I don't
I
know.
would sit
Somebody asked the
down.
question, are you a Scorpio? I don't know if that question is for me or for you, but that's the question. What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
Uh-huh.
I'm a Scorpio. November the 6th. I'll be 40 this year.
Okay. Okay. Well, see, I'm a Virgo, September the 1st, and I'll be 51 this year.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
My
I turned 50.
father's birthday is September the 4th.
Great man.
He's all right.
Don't know anything
That's
about
my
him.
guy.
Great. Don't know anything about him, but he's a great guy. He's a great man.
That's my guy. Yeah. So he was asking if you are a Scorpio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the question just said, "Are you?" Oh, me. Am I a Scorpio? No, I'm a Virgo. But Raphael Alpha is a Scorpio as well. November the 9th. Love Jones is a Virgo. See, that's me. Kamile called us youngsters. So she's got the wisdom of all the ancestors. So she can't really call it. Everybody's a youngster to you.
Yeah, it's unfair for her.
Yeah, she got the wisdom of every ancestor. Come on now. Anything else you want to say before we close out?
I appreciate you. I love you. I love y'all. I love doing the show. I look forward to, more guests coming on, more conversations, more topics. And anybody who has suggestions for guest topics, hit me up. Let me know. If you think I should start DMing celebrities or somebody too, if there's somebody that you think I should pay $100 to come on here, we can do it. And let's just build, man. Like let's build off the energy. And it's not just about the show. I'm saying let's like connect and create something that's like unstoppable. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think anything more needs to be said. I think that says it all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Yeah, and please tell the kids I said hi, and Lil, if you're still on here, all my love to the family. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for tuning in and giving me the opportunity, you for giving me the opportunity to host, and everybody supporting it because it was a lot of fun. Not something I normally do, so I'm grateful for that opportunity. But I loved what you said. Let's build. Like that's the hashtag now, yo. Let's build.
I am that sister depicted in ancient hieroglyphics on ancient pyramid walls.
Indeed.
I be in that joint feeling like I'm a queen. Like, hold on, I'm a guy.
and that's another reason, real quick before I let you go. The poet in me absolutely wants to work with you, man. Absolutely. Musically. I'm scared of it. I've never done music before, right? It's always I just write the poems, spit the poems, send them off to somebody, and they put them to music. But I absolutely want to do that. It's something we've talked about a lot and we've never done, so I'm ready.
Yeah, I think. Let's do it. You can do the poetry part first, and then I'll just come in and do the music.
That could work. Okay.
It happens.
Yeah, that can work. Okay, go get safe from the tornado. Give all the babies our love and all that good stuff. We'll talk again.
Love y'all.
Thank y'all for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Good job.